All right, welcome to Culture Couch Live. We've got Jared.
Hello, Paul.
And Emil's back on deck from Emil, so good to see you. Hey, probably today, I reckon we might strip it right back, guys. Murphy, you and I have been working with, which we always enjoy working with any team, but I guess the last couple of months, probably once again, we've been hit with the impact of the CEO, haven't we? Like really good, high-performing teams we've been working with.
Yeah.
What's your biggest takeout, Murph, around that? Let's have a conversation around the importance, which we know, but the biggest takeaway about the CEO and how important that role is now in culture.
Just that level 5 thing that Jim Collins talks about all the time. Like it's so important where you've got a humble CEO that listens, is inclusive, is really prepared to promote connectedness and create that psychological safe environment. It's amazing how much you get out of the team when the leader's prepared to step back and create that safe environment. And it's just becoming more and more apparent. I don't know whether it's COVID, Ruzi, or post-COVID, or, the inverted commas, new normal, but the impact that we're seeing of good, caring, inclusive leaders that connects the team and is prepared to let them have a voice has just been phenomenal. We've really seen some great teams in the last few months, and I think it comes back to the leader. Like we talk about leaders all the time having an impact on the team, but it's been quite profound when you see good leaders compared to not so good leaders in the last few months.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, hasn't it? And it has, again, sort of hit us a bit. I mean, we should know because it's the foundation of our business, isn't it? Taking the chance out of culture and the behaviour of the leader, reward and challenge. But boss, let me go to you, because probably care. If you talked about care 20 years ago, people would go, "What's care? Let's just work hard. Let's just yell at people. Let's just, they're here to work. We're paying them. They're here to do a job. I don't really have to care about them." But let's expand on that, because it has been really stark, Murph, to your point, that you could tell the level of care in the rooms that we've been in, albeit if one was live, most was virtual. It's been stark, hasn't it? So what does that mean to you, maybe compared to 20 years ago? What does care mean?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, I think, in terms of how I work with my team compared to how I work with the team in the past, because I think that's the way I would reflect on it, is that really authoritarian, I've got to get it done, and being disillusioned from the outcomes that I was getting based on my behavior and my attempt to push people to do more with just more aggressive tactics, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then when you flip it, actually, if you find the right people, you get out of it, you give them the platform, you teach them by being a role model. You're empathetic because you're understanding of all the different things that are going on that create challenges today. You're flexible, so you give people that flexibility to, when they need to step away, let them step away, but also give them what you need to in terms of outcomes for the week, the month, or their role in general, and get out of their way and then help them achieve those goals. Like and by doing so, I think Jez talks about this a lot, and I love this part, is stop doing.
Yeah.
Stop doing the work, do more leading, identify ways to which you can support people doing the work, and you'll get a better outcome. And that transformation for me that's unbelievable. And I love that factor that I've got the team out there that I can trust to do it, and that's created more free space for me to focus on the things that are important to the business.
Yeah, can I just pick up on that, because you said a word, flip. There's a couple of clients over here. I've recently gone in and observed their team meetings because the leader's gone, the team aren't speaking up enough. So I said, all right, cool. Let me just come in and observe. You just act as normal. And I've done a couple of these observations, and then it was just The leader was just directive. They kept the list and they said, have you done this, John? Have you done this, Sally? So we had a review at the end of it, did our normal, what worked, what didn't. And what we've been doing a lot over here is just flipping it over. The team actually runs the meeting and the leader attends it. And I'm going to smile because 2 days ago, this particular leader I'm thinking of came into the room and said, hey, Em, is it okay if I don't attend that meeting anymore? What's happened is they've grabbed another leader from the company that is better suited for the meeting, and he's realized he's become essentially obsolete in that setting. And I just had this massive smile on my face. I said, mate, that's it. We're doing it. You're doing it. You know, you're doing it, Harry. Take the rest of the day off, sort of thing. That'd a bit of a joke, not quite chummy, but I just remember when we started working with you was the same thing. We just sort of just maneuvered around, and then when you give people the space,
it goes back to that old thing. And when leaders say, you know, the group isn't prepared to speak up or they're not contributing, it's because the leader isn't asking the questions or they haven't created the environment. Like people want to contribute. They want to go the extra yards. They want to ask questions. They want to belong to the teams that they're part of.
Yeah.
If the leader doesn't create that, if the leader wants to be dominant or is aggressive or lies and therefore diminishes the trust in the room, well then, and the safety in the room, well then people won't contribute. So if you're a leader and your team isn't contributing, well, don't look at the group. Look in the mirror, because I promise you that you can do things better. I don't know, Reece, if you agree or disagree with that. But
I was going to go into that, Murph, because I think let's be really clear what we're talking about here. We're talking about some high performance. We're not talking about teams that are just, you know, hugging each other and saying well done, and you know they're not making any money. We're talking about really high performing teams, and we're talking about really honest and open conversations. To your point, Murph. So any leader out there that's in there going, oh yeah, but I have to tell because we want to make budget or we want to do this, and and I'll ask them and they'll tell me directly. No, they won't. To your point, they won't.
It's the hard thing is the balance between psychological safety and care, and tension or stretch. So you've got to create that safety, but you still have to stretch people. It's not just rock
it's
up.
An art.
Don't rock up and hug each other. It's rock up. You feel safe, but at the same time, you still got to do your job. And we'll have these conversations to hold you accountable, but we'll do it in a respectful, thoughtful way that will get the best out of you, not make you feel stupid.
And let's pick up on that word respect, because to the point is, let's say we've created a really good environment. As soon as someone speaks, we have to let them speak. What does respect mean to you in a meeting? I guess that's probably the question directly, because it's a really good, it doesn't mean we have to agree, does it? But it's a really important word, that respect.
Yeah, I think my team, I think respect comes down to allowing people to speak. But I think the big part is, and I would admit I'm a culprit of doing this, is actively listening. I don't do it very well, and I need to continue to work on that part, because if you've got a great leadership group, which I do, when you actively listen, and then you've got different sets of opinions across the room, you can actually get better outcomes by collectively gathering all that information. And that part there alone comes back to not just respect, but once someone actually feels like their voice is valued and you're actioning on that, that's holy grail right there.
And it's, by the way, it's an area for growth, not something you're not good at.
I continually have to work on it. And it's because I don't know, mate, look, when you're tech savvy, you just quickly want to give the answer. You think you know what the right answer is, but it may not necessarily be the right answer.
The other thing is the level of conversation in that environment is so much deeper and so much more rewarding for everyone in the room. Some of the conversations we've had, Merv, in the last couple of months and yesterday, it's been really good. Like, again, so if you're thinking out there, but we don't want the fluffy stuff and blah, blah, blah. Hang on. If this is about really effective solutions and really honest conversations, Emil, isn't it? It's about real talk.
Well, we had one this morning, Reece, didn't we, Em? like as a group, we had a
Yeah,
really
sure.
good, solid, respectful conversation with each other, but it wasn't for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. Even last night we had the chat about one of our tools, and we still got more to go, and it's actually quite enjoyable when it's met. Yeah, it's quite fun, isn't it? Right? Like, yeah, because you've got to keep going to the same goal, though, right? You got to keep going to what's best for the team. That's got to be the foundation of everything, and that's very, very important. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Again, I think you're right. It's what's we talk about. Care for me about in the real talk in the feedback system. If I really care for someone, why aren't I giving them feedback?
Yeah.
Like it's a really strange thing, isn't it? Like if I care for you, as a company, I care for you three, and really want us to be successful. Then, and if I see someone doing something that's we don't like, and I don't give the feedback, I'm as culpable as the person. That's my view, but it's quite strange the way it's seen often, isn't it, in the workforce?
Everything's the opposite. Everything is, honestly, I'm writing this list. Everything's the opposite. If you want your team to speak up, let them run the meeting. The leaders run the meeting, flip it. If you care about your mate and you see something they can do better, the natural inclination is, I care about the person, I don't want to hurt their feelings, so I'm not going to say it. What's the opposite? Say it so they can get better. Like, everything's literally the opposite in our world. It's coming up.
It goes to Ruzy's point, and doesn't it? Like, as a good teammate, if you really care about your buddy, you tell them. Yeah. It's your responsibility to tell them. Yeah. And the problem we have, though, is unless you've got a good leader that's created an environment where it's safe, then that telling them can be in the form of a joke, sarcasm, or to your point, Em, not doing it at all. And so at the end of it, we just stagnate because we're frightened that if we do say something, it'll be received the wrong way, or someone will take it badly.
Or Murph, something we touched on yesterday, was left to the 6-month review. It's something that happened 5 months ago. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm talking to Em or was about something. When you started, hang on, you started 5 months. Yeah, but you did this. Like, I can't remember it. It's that far. It's that long ago.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that over here. It's the anonymous annual 360.
Oh yeah.
That they get 5 random people to fill in the data. I learned about this the other day because it's been bewildering me. 5 or so people from the company, like, they could pick 3 people that just don't like that person, and there's no context for it, right? Yeah. Then the consultant comes in and says, Paul, the team think this about you, and I'm the consultant delivering a message for 5 other people. Then you're left going, I wonder who said that, and what do I do now? And then,
I'll tell you what you do. You spend the next week trying to work out who said it.
And backstabbing.
And then you come back around again and you do it again.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind.
Really. But the other thing that happens, Ruzy, as well, is if you've got a 6-month review and it's a very difficult review, have a guess what happens? It gets postponed.
It's postponed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So But gents, just to wrap it up, and again, getting back on this topic, we know it, and again, it reinforced to us just the main message, and I'll start with you, Murph, to the CEO, to the leader. What would be the one thing, and I'll ask each of you just to wrap up, what's the one thing, you'd really say you've got to get this right if you were to pick one thing?
You're a role model. You whatever, everyone's watching you all the time. Every interaction you have with every person, they want your time, but they want to spend time with you in a respectful way, whether it's in a one-on-one, whether it's in a meeting. So be a role model of the leader that you wished you had. So make sure that every time you have an interaction with somebody, you're giving them a voice and making them feel safe.
Well, I'll ask you a little bit differently. What's the biggest change you've made? Because you have been a CEO, are a CEO, and similar question, but what's the biggest takeaway for you and the biggest change that's been most effective?
It comes back to what Jez said. Jez keeps saying, and that's get out of the seat of doing and get into the seat of leading. And that just, it's so funny for me coming from that, task orientated person, outcome driven, data orientated, and what do I need to do to Emil's point? I need to do the opposite, and that's build relationships. So I spend so much more time now in relationships, and I would suggest even my profile's changed because of that. So I do enjoy walking of the floor, talking with the team. Went out for the beer, took the team out for beers last night. Catch up with them again this afternoon. So it's relationships, but stop doing and start leading.
And you're across the international borders now. So Australia versus Canada, like, is it the same message you would give now that you've landed in Canada?
Yeah, I think there's some, our work is so can be quite subjective at times, and I think our job is to make it as impactful as possible and objective to a certain degree. But I think the laws and the principles remain the same. And the thing that I wrote down, it's it's the little and often and lead with questions. So just like we said, there was walk the floor, just make it, I've actually got a couple of team clients now that have their team list, and every day they walk the floor, they connect with someone and they ask questions, and then they just give them a tick to make sure they're spreading the load. And they've made it seems quite technical and a bit sort of cold, but it's a great system because they want to care for everyone. And the first 10 minutes of the day is connection back to their office, and then that makes them feel good. But when they get to the person, they're leading with questions. And then that's, to Jez's point, that's what creates psychological safety. And then everyone feels good. The rest of that person's day, maybe 3 or 4 days is on. So the little and often lead with questions.
I think just before you finish off, Ruzi, we need to hear from you because you are our guru. But there's a guy called Doug Conan. He was a CEO of big companies in the US, and this is a tactic. And he used to write handwritten notes to people every day.
Yeah,
so write 3 or 4, and they weren't happy birthday or anything like that. They were genuine. He'd get people to send him almost shout outs, like, this is what so and so's done for the company, and the guy on the extra yard done this bit. And so he used to write them a handwritten note, and over a period of time, he'd written like, I don't know, it was say 30,000 notes.
Wow.
And only had 20,000 staff. So and people had kept those handwritten notes because it was from the CEO. And so I think that goes to that connection piece that we've been talking about. Little things like that make a big difference because people appreciate them, and we want to feel like we're valued. We want to feel like we're heard. We want to feel like we belong. And that's just a good little strategy,
mate. And that's a great segue into mine, Murph, because I would say, just don't underestimate the impact you're having. And I think too often CEOs completely underestimate the impact they have. And not on the bottom line, not on the share price, on the people, on the culture, on their behaviors, on what happens within their organization. I think too often the CEO, and I'm saying respectfully, gets up in the morning and gets to work, does an amazing job, works as hard as he can, but has no idea the impact that letter's going to have. No idea the impact on that comment from the lift and to the desk, and mate, well done, congratulations on the wedding. How was it? Great, fantastic. Oh gee, I didn't even know the boss knew I was getting married. They have no idea on the impact that they have on the culture, and that's been reinforced for me, I guess, once again in the last couple of months. So hopefully that just a little bit of a wrap. We thought it was a really good opportune time just to talk about that role model behaviour, the role model leader, and just wrap that up. So thanks Murph, thanks Em, thanks Woz.
All right.
Enjoy the weekend.
Roz, I'm a bit worried about your health though. You seem to have been taking your team out for social occasions pretty regularly lately. You've got to make sure you.
What do you want me to do? A few waters tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Appreciate the feedback. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for caring.
That's good care.
See you guys.
All right.
Beautiful boys. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Yeah.
See you next time. Couch Live. See you guys.